For those of us who see Donald Trump as the prime suspect for being the Antichrist, hardly a day goes by without him giving us more confirmation that he is exactly that. Whether it's suggesting that he might have survived the assassination attempt in order to save the world, or posting images on Truth Social that compare him to Jesus, it seems as if there is always something he's saying or doing that echoes Bible prophecy. However, while many of us do view Trump as the Antichrist, or at least possibly the Antichrist, still many others do not see him as such for a variety of reasons. These objections can generally be broken down into two main categories. First, the people who love Trump. To someone who strongly supports Donald Trump, the Antichrist could be anyone but Donald Trump. He simply has this strange hold over them, and to even consider him as the Antichrist is a bridge too far. In fact, his supporters will often get angry at even suggesting that he's the Antichrist. It's not even a normal anger, such as when someone might insult your mom or dad. Rather, it's extremely visceral, as if they'd personally been accused of doing terrible things, which is all the more evidence for how Trump connects with his supporters on a deeply emotional level and why they are so passionate about him. It's not about facts and reason, but how he makes them feel. And that's especially true when it comes to patriotism. Their objections to Trump being the Antichrist are often based on things not even related to the Bible, but rather to America. If told how Trump lines up with the biblical Antichrist, their counter-argument often centers on the economy, or immigration, or even gas prices. But if they do reference the Bible as a reason that Trump can't be the Antichrist, it's based on a false idea of who the Antichrist will be, such as the myths that he must be gay, or a Muslim, or won't even appear until the church is raptured away. None of those things are biblical. However, there's another group of people who do not see Trump as possibly being the Antichrist, and their reasons for doing so are precisely the opposite of Trump supporters. People who don't take Trump seriously. In the eyes of many, Trump simply cannot be the Antichrist because he's not up to it. He's simply too old or too much of an idiot. He's not charismatic enough to get the world to follow him because he's little more than a clown. In fact, Trump will often say or do something that reinforces this perception. His rambling way of speaking, his poor vocabulary, and his ignorance and immaturity are constantly on display. How could the Antichrist be this much of a fool? Yet, despite these personality flaws, Donald Trump also lines up with how the Bible describes the Antichrist, and he does so far more than anyone else on the scene. Here are just a few examples. The Antichrist is to be beloved in Israel and within the Christian church, both things that Trump fulfills exactly. The Antichrist is to come in his own name, which is precisely how Trump slithered his way into the church in the first place. He was famous, and the church fell head over heels for him. The Antichrist is to have the mouth of a lion and be profoundly arrogant and boastful. Again, traits that match Trump perfectly. The Antichrist is said to be so dishonest that he throws the truth to the ground as if it was worthless. Again, Trump clearly embraces the truth only when it makes him look good. The Antichrist purposely sows discord, which means he is intentionally dividing one person or one group against another for his own benefit. He isn't simply divisive, but he purposely sows divisiveness to reap the rewards. Trump intentionally uses this divide and conquer strategy, a sowing of discord, in order to weed out those who oppose him. His framing of any person, group, or organization who criticizes him as evil has the net effect of causing his supporters to believe they're on the side of good. The Antichrist will deny both the Father and His Son, something Trump has specifically done by stating that he doesn't ask God for forgiveness. By not asking God for forgiveness, he is denying the forgiveness that only the Father can give us, and he is denying the need for a Savior in the Son. The Antichrist is to be a vile person, which means he is sordid, crass, and vulgar. Trump has used immature, disparaging, and even vulgar language to target others for everything from their ethnicity, to their gender, to their intelligence, to even their physical appearance. He has also made crude comments about his niece and his own daughter, bragged about his sexual exploits with married women, and had multiple extramarital affairs himself. He is the personification of vile. The Antichrist will have a covenant with many between Israel and her neighbors, and in fact, Trump laid the foundation for that covenant with the Abraham Accords. He has also vowed to bring peace to the world when he returns to power. Perhaps most importantly, the Antichrist will have such a profound ego that he will, at some point, proclaim himself to be God, that he himself is the Savior of the world. Trump has already referred to himself as the chosen one, has already thanked those who said he was the second coming of God to Israel, has already agreed that only Jesus is better than he is, and has already embraced the notion that he is the Savior of America. With Trump's documented history of elevating himself beyond other people, would it really be a shock to hear him proclaim that he has saved the world? Would that really be so out of character for him to say? Or, on the other hand, would it fit in perfectly with how he has been acting all along? To those who say that Trump is too old, or too weak, or too much of a fool to be the Antichrist, the Bible actually tells us that while the Antichrist is strong, it is not his own power. Rather, there is an evil force behind the Antichrist which empowers him in the last days. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Coincidentally, Trump recently said how he feels better now than he did 30 years ago.
I don't know what it is, but I feel better than I did 30 years ago. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know.
Who is better qualified to be the Antichrist than the man who not only matches all the biblical descriptions, but who also possesses an ego so extreme that he is capable of one day proclaiming himself to be Savior of the world? The truth is that there could not be a better fit for the man of sin we were warned about in the Bible than Donald J. Trump. He checks all the boxes. After all, since the Bible teaches us that many believers will fall away from the faith in the last days, who could be better at deceiving the church than a con man?